Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our 12 days of ICD-10 PCS coding. Today, we're going to focus on root operations. As you may recall, there are 17 sections in ICD-10 PCS. Section 1 is the medical and surgical section. And in the medical and surgical section, there are 31 root operations. The root operations are broken down into 9 groups, and they're grouped according to the work that they do. So let's get started with group number 1, where there are 5 root operations that are grouped based on the fact that they take out some or all of a body part. As illustrated on the screen, each of the root operations have a name, and directly behind the name, there is a character value for that root operation. This is helpful for me because it makes me have a way to remember the differences among them in addition to the definitions. Speaking of the definitions, let's review those now. Excision is defined as cutting out or off without replacement a portion of a body part. Resection is cutting out or off without replacement all of a body part. See that one little difference there? Some of the body part versus all of the body part. That goes against what you learned in medical terminology, so you'll want to keep that in mind. Then we have detachment, which is cutting out all or part of the upper or lower extremities, another differentiating factor. Then we have destruction, which is the physical eradication of all or a portion of a body part by the direct use of energy, force, or a destructive agent. Notice the difference there. We are destroying it. It's no longer going to be available to us. Last and certainly not least, we have extraction, which is pulling or stripping out or off all or a portion of a body part by the use of force. One of the things that I recommend that you do for the root operations is to make flashcards because this will make you have a way to remember them. I don't know if you remember learning medical terminology, but with medical terminology, you probably made flashcards of the word parts, prefix, suffix, etc. We are now going to jump into some scenarios to illustrate the root operation. And I do want you to know that the root operation is the objective of the procedure. And when you're looking at a procedure, if you don't understand the procedure, the first thing that you want to do is research the procedure so that you can understand it. For today, we are going to be using the electronic file that I went over on yesterday. So let's dig in with our first scenario. So, in our first scenario, our patient has a laparoscopic cholecystectomy with a true cut liver biopsy. And in the scenario, the usual things happen. The patient is prepped and draped in the sterile fashion. Anesthesia is administered. Then there is a small supraumbilical incision that was made, and then the abdomen was insufflated. One of the things that I will tell you that new coders typically don't do is they don't stop and look at every word that they don't know. You got to stop, you got to look it up so that you know what it means. All right, so the abdomen was insufflated, they put the trocars in, the laparoscope was introduced, and then the fundus of the gallbladder was grasped and retracted superolaterally. Then the cystic duct and artery were mobilized, isolated. The artery and the duct were clipped to the level of the gallbladder and excised. Then there was a cholangiogram, which was obtained in real time fluoroscopy, and it demonstrated normal anatomy. The fluoroscopy is used to visualize that body part that they're working in so that they don't have to have it open to the naked eye. So they'll usually use fluoroscopy to get a real time image. The gallbladder was then elevated, and it was elevated from the gallbladder fossa with electrocautery. When the gallbladder dissection was completed, it was placed in a bag, an endocatch bag, and removed through the epigastric trocar site. So, what has happened at this point? The gallbladder was taken out. The question that should be going through your mind is, did they take out all of the gallbladder or did they take out part of the gallbladder? After that, a true cut liver biopsy was performed at the left liver lobe. And this was also done under laparoscopic visualization. So, good hemostasis, so bleeding was obtained, the trocars were taken out, the abdomen was desufflated, and steri strips were applied. So, where do we begin? Well, as I mentioned to you previously, it's going to be critical that we have a process that allows us to learn the system. So, for our purposes, we're going to start with the index. And so you guys know the drill. You have to click on the index. And if you have a physical book, what you're going to do is actually just turn the page to the index. And so, what did our patient have? Our patient had a resection of the gallbladder, and then they had an excision of a lesion. So the next thing that we need to do is look up those root operations. So I'm going to go to resection first, and I'm going to scroll kind of fast because we only have 12 minutes, and I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to get through this scenario. And I know some of you are probably thinking, this is definitely why you need a physical book because it's a lot easier for you to turn over to resection. All right, so we are almost there. Almost. And now some of you are probably saying there's got to be an easier way to scroll through this electronic book. And I have to be honest, I only use the physical book or some type of electronic software. So if there is a way, I don't know about it, but I am finally over at resection. Remember, coding tells a story. Make sure you're at the beginning of resection. Notice how resection was on this previous page, and then resection of what? It was the gallbladder. So my main term is resection. My subterm is going to be gallbladder. And again, they took out all of the gallbladder. And so that is why I am at gallbladder. And I think I might have skipped past gallbladder. It's hard to talk and scroll at the same time. All right, here we go. So here is gallbladder, and it's going to point me over to table 0FT. One of the things that you want to notice is that each table consists of 3 characters. When you have additional characters, is giving you more information about that particular body part, approach, device, qualifier. So I'm going to click on this table here. If you have the physical book, you are actually going to turn over to the table. And so now we're at 0FT, medical and surgical, hepatobiliary system and pancreas, and then the root operation of resection. Notice the definition is provided for me again so that I can confirm that this is what I want. Then we have the gallbladder as the body part. And then now is the $1,000,000 question. What is the approach? In this particular case, the approach is percutaneous endoscopic because they use the laparoscope. No device, no qualifier, which makes the final code 0FT 4ZZ. As a reminder, in ICD-10-PCS, the letter O and I are not used so that they are not confused with 0 and 1. Now, to go back to the beginning, you click back to the top and then return to introduction to get us to the index. Then I'm going to go over to the letter E because I need to code my biopsy. And the root operation for a biopsy is going to be excision. And so I'm going to get over to excision, which I got there much quicker. Excision of what? The body part is the liver. And so I'm going to scroll down to the liver. Almost there. All right, so we have liver. So the question, the $1,000,000 question is, was it the left lobe? Was it the right lobe? Well, we got to go back over to our scenario to answer that question. Next, a true cut liver biopsy was performed of the left lobe of the liver. So I'm back over to my code book and it was the left lobe. So I'm going to click on table 0FB, which then brings me over there. My fourth character is a 2 for left liver lobe. This procedure was done percutaneous endoscopic. Of note, sometimes they will do two procedures at one time and it's by different approaches. So you have to follow the surgeon's hand. All right, no device, no qualifier. And so the final code is 0FB24ZX. Well, guys, guess what? That was almost 15 minutes going over those two codes for that one scenario. So I'll be back in the morning and I will continue to talk about root operations. I encourage you to purchase some type of textbook where you can practice coding. Of note, if you purchase certain brands of ICD-10 PCS code books, the book includes some scenarios. I'll see you tomorrow.